Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's July 1st, 2013. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right here is Cody Bills. Cody, let's see how the grains closed the day out here on a Monday. Certainly a day where we saw a lot of spillover from Friday's big planted acreage and quarterly grain stocks reports. Running down the quote board here, we see new crop corn off 9 3/4, new crop beans down 8 3/4. Kansas City wheat relatively unchanged on the day. Cody, catching a lot of attention was that new crop corn market. Another day of a pretty firm selling, I would say, following Friday's numbers. What's your take on the action there?
Well, you know, I think the big thing here is obviously the planted acreage report that came out on Friday, and that really sunk that new crop December contract. And what it meant to the trade on Friday was that we went down right around that 510 area, that 511, 510 area, and we found support down there. If you take a look at the chart here, you'll notice that it was a support area that's been there for a year or so.
Right.
We touched on it a while ago, and it held during Friday's trade. When the session opened up in the night, we actually gapped down, and you can see that on the 60-minute chart here. And you'll notice we tried to fill that gap, we were unable to do so, and then we started tailing off down around that $5.
You know, coming into the close here today, Cody, we saw it really looked like that corn market was going to make a run at getting below 5. We saw a lot of bids sitting down there at 5, people looking to buy and go along there. I mean, are you in that camp here? I know that last week on the show we were expecting corn to print a 4 here at some point this week. Have you changed your opinion on that at all?
No, I wouldn't be surprised to print a 4 on this thing, but you know, there could be a lot of bids down right around that $5 mark. I think one of the things that you got to focus on is the fundamentals here. We have a lot more acreage, 2 million more acres than we expected, and we have weather conditions that are really looking very positive. If you take a look here at the weather conditions, let's look at this slide here, and you'll notice that the precipitation for the next couple weeks is looking very strong. The eastern third of the U.S. is going to be getting a lot of precip, and not only that, you take a look at the temperature outlook for the next couple weeks, and really we're looking at highs in the 80s and not much of a change. So it doesn't look too stressful. Pretty ideal growing conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it kind of looks like a continuation, really, of what we saw last week. Last week we had pretty darn favorable growing conditions across the U.S., and I think that was really reflected in the crop progress and condition numbers that we got out this afternoon. If we just quickly look at the numbers there, 67% of this corn and soybean crop now rated good to excellent. Certainly one thing that's caught a lot of attention here recently is the progress of planting. We now see 96% of the soybean crop in the ground. That was up from 92% last week. So now people are really going to start focusing on the developmental stages of these crops. Just today we had the first silking number reported by the USDA. We now see 3% of this corn crop silking. That compares to 22% last year. So certainly, you know, if we remember last year, it was an exceptionally early year last year. Very different this year just based on the weather that we had during the spring. And so certainly the developmental stages of this corn crop and soybean crop in particular are going to be pushed quite a bit later. And that's really, I think, when we could have the potential to see a real weather market come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things about that weather market is that, you know, we talk about the earlier part of July, really a very critical part in the development of corn. You know, that pushes that window right to the middle part of the July. Now, if you look at the weather, you know, it looks very positive right up to the middle part of July, but you know, we don't have a very firm grasp. It looks positive, but of course, you know, any change in the weather could really start to put a spark in this new crop market.
Yeah, certainly. We'll keep you posted on expectations for that as the weather outlook here develops over the next several weeks on GrainTV. In general, though, that's kind of the action that we saw here today in the grain market. Once again, real weakness across the new crops, a little bit more strength on the old crops. We'll have to see if it continues in tomorrow's action. And as always, we'll cover all the changes in the grain market here on GrainTV. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.